Welcome to QI. Tonight we're fathoming the future, festooned with a fellowship of far-seeing forecasters. We have the wily wizard of Woking himself, Sean Locke. Thank you. And we have the prognosticating archdruid of Pottalbot, Rob Brydon. And we are so honoured with our next guest, Ben Miller, who had a crack at a PhD in novel quantum effects in quasi-zero-dimensional mesoscopic electrical systems. Wow. And Alan Davis, who has also come along. Let's have a foretaste of your futuristic fingerings. Sean goes... Rob goes... Ben goes... And Alan goes...
There may be trouble ahead.
Thank you. Great. So, the future begins now. Alan, what do you do?
Nothing.
Oh! Oh! There is no such thing as nothing. On any level, has there ever been discovered to be such a thing as nothing?
Sitting, holding my pen.
So many things, exactly. It's impossible to do nothing, to think nothing. There is no such thing
wildly.
as nothing.
Exactly. In fact, physics tells us, actually, that there's no such thing as nothing.
Does
as
it?
well.
In
yeah.
what way?
Because elementary particles become created and annihilated in the vacuum, so nothingness is really a swarm of elementary particles. But also, there's considered to be a field permeating the whole of space called the Higgs field, which gives elementary particles mass. And this is the thing.
Yes.
And it's...
I like this.
And the Higgs field...
Heard it.
For the Higgs field to exist, we need a Higgs boson.
Yeah.
And we have built a huge hadron collider, colliding huge beams of protons together at CERN in Switzerland to detect the Higgs boson.
You are the best supply teacher we have ever...
That is fabulous, though. Even if you don't believe in the Higgs field, gravity operates in a vacuum, does it not?
This is a really interesting thing. There are four...
It is. We are interested.
No, No, don't worry, Ben. This is me looking interested.
Go on.
This is actually really, really interesting. There are four known forces in the universe.
Right,
Four
gravity.
forces. Gravity, electromagnetism, the nuclear strong force,
Yeah.
which holds nuclei together, and the nuclear weak force, which causes radioactivity. Now, the nuclear weak force, the nuclear strong force, and electromagnetism are all of a similar strength.
Right.
But gravity is incredibly weak, and you can see that by a fridge magnet can hold a pin using electromagnetism and defeat the whole force of the Earth pulling down on it. And one of the things they think is that our four dimensions, if you like, are actually part of a much bigger space. And gravity permeates all these other dimensions, they think 10 in total, which means that it becomes weakened by a corresponding amount.
I disagree. Sorry, but I have to depart from that theory. There, because
there's one theory, though.
Mistake you've made.
There is one theory, is there not, that all matter has its corresponding antimatter. And I can't help but look at you, Ben, and you, Rob, and see... Am I alone? Isn't that weird?
Never been seen in the same room before.
Oh, now you're so close. Won't some sort of awful thing happen?
Well, it is. We can't actually touch. Let's check.
It is phenomenal. I mean, there are a lot of horse-faced people in the world. There are a lot of... sorry. No, but it is remarkable. No.
What would happen?
Nay,
They put you two in the Hadron Collider and send you underneath the ground in Switzerland and impact you.
That
the
would be
finest
brilliant.
comedian in the world.
Black hole would result, yeah.
They're going to make a black hole, aren't they, and actually suck Switzerland into the ground, leaving nothing but chocolate.
Well, I thank you for that. It's an honour and a pleasure, if I may say, Ben Miller, to have someone who knows what they're talking about on this programme. We are very, very pleased to be given the heads up on what's going on in particle physics.
And you know what's so good about it is there'll be a fair number of viewers watching now thinking, that Rob Brydon knows a lot about science. It's a win-win.
It's true. It's true. Anyway, there is no such thing as nothing, arguably, anyway. On the other hand, if you want to disagree, there's nothing to stop you. And now, our QI time capsule. When do you think the first time capsules were? Who came up with the first
Blue
one?
Peter.
Blue Peter. 30s is not far off.
1930s.
Guinness Book of Records says 1940. It says the University in Atlanta.
Those are the first recorded ones, but the first ones that were done was
Technically
in Pittsburgh
Jesus.
in 37. Seriously, in Locksfield in Pittsburgh.
Come on, yeah, go on. And
Well, it was done by Locksfield in Pittsburgh
Yeah.
by two scientists.
Right.
You never... come on here.
Yeah.
You never believe a word I say.
I do.
There's some point in the research that I do for this show.
All right, I'll believe you. However, the Guinness Book of World Records... Yes, I saw that out of the corner of my eye. The Guinness Book of World Records gives it to the Crypt of Civilization located in the basement of Phoebe Hearst Hall. There it is, behind you. You can see that is the... It's more than a time capsule, it's a huge room. Destined to be opened in the year 8113.
Cool.
It's very specific. And it contains all kinds of things, including the Bible, the Quran, the Iliad.
Why 8113 then?
If you could guess why 8113, I will be staggeringly impressed, and you will get
some
two fanfares.
Reversal of numbers, or is it somebody's birthday?
It's not
backwards,
that,
or
no.
Somebody's birthday.
At the time...
8113, I will be... I can't even work it out.
No, at the time they believed that human history began in the year 4241 BC. Began in the sense that that was the beginning of the first Egyptian calendar. And therefore, if they took themselves as that midpoint and put the same amount of time after the time capsule, it would go up to 8113. So when they opened it, they would be looking at the midpoint of human history.
That's wonderful.
Which is rather splendid. And they also included all kinds of things. They didn't know whether electricity would still be around, obviously in 8113, so there's a windmill to drive all the various speech and electric machines and projectors.
They should have put a bucket of water over the door.
That would have been so sweet.
And there should have been nothing in it except one of those big ball pits that you roll around.
I imagine the people who find it just open the door and go and just take it to whatever the 8113 equivalent of a car boot sale is. Just flog the lot.
Yeah, it'd be worth a fortune, wouldn't it?
Do you know what I like doing? The sort of the more mundane aspect that we all have access to is when you strip wallpaper off a room in your house.
Yes.
And you get a few layers of it, don't you, with glitter and all these different flock things.
Ancient Rome.
I've always stopped short of that.
Cave paintings.
And eventually you get through to something that the previous owners of the house
Amoebas, just the
have
first
written
amoeba.
there. They've written, John and Susan, 1973 or something like that. That's all it.
It's very nice.
When you see that. It's a realistic version of archaeology. It's a version of archaeology that's within all our grasp. We can all try it at home. Just go up to the wallpaper, start steam. I would recommend you steam.
Would you?
Don't go in with a scraper. You'll be there all day. But it's lovely because you get a sense of the history of your house.
But usually those things were drawn by decorators, and it'd be like Dave's a...
It's a drawing of a
I
pair of
hate
bosoms.
Arsenal.
Beer in the steps, in houses that have steps or stoops, it's very common to have a barrel of beer in the cement under there, apparently.
We found when in our house, the family that lived there before had recorded the height of all the inhabitants, and you see it growing. So I've started doing that with my kids now, and with me.
Why don't you put yourselves really high?
I give myself an extra inch, yes.
Yeah.
Well, my house was repossessed, so I actually had the scratch marks of the children as they were dragged down the room. That's a lovely moment. We've kept it decorated round it.
On our house, we've just put Ben Miller lived here.
Yeah.
There are apparently 10,000 time capsules worldwide, and most of them have been lost as to where they are. So there is now the International Time Capsule Society, and if you have a time capsule, they urge you to be in touch. They have a website so that they can register where yours is. And of course, we've sent them into space. Mariner, was it? Or Voyager?
Yes.
Which has got a gold slab with a picture of a man etched into it and binary information about the...
Was it designed by Carl Sagan?
Carl Sagan, yeah, who said that rather wonderful thing when they suggested having also music, and someone said, what about Bach? And he said, no, that would just be showing off.
Do you think there's anyone out there? I don't.
Don't you?
Not really.
Well, according to the
not?
equivalence principle, there have to be aliens out
There have to be.
Yeah, there absolutely have to be.
Yeah, but I
It's a
doubt the
principle.
equivalence principle, in all honesty. I have done for a long time. You show me some hard proof about the equivalence principle.
Well, the hard
Seriously,
proof is
I just think
the hard
it's
proof is that we're here.
fanciful.
Well, I
It's-
thought
it
far too
actually-
fanciful the idea that there wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And arrogant and peculiar. And the universe
That's almost the
this
opposite
size.
view to mine, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is.
The whole of modern astronomy is based on the principle that we're not in a unique position
Astronomy
in the
or
universe.
astrology?
Oh, stop it!
Oh,
Well, no,
You
because
didn't
no,
say the word
astronomy...
astrology.
Astrology, of course, is star science. I mean, that's rubbish, isn't it?
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying... I'm not
to think about
backing it up.
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
I'm
Good.
debunking it.
Yeah. But in fact, if you're watching QI now, and you believe in astrology, you're banned from watching it. You're not allowed. You must turn it over now. Thank you. Now, you may not know that, amazingly, nothing in the laws of physics forbids time travel. But if this is the case, where are all the time travellers?
She could do so much better than him.
He looks absolutely shocked to be with her, doesn't he? I mean, I can't believe my luck.
There's the thing known as the grandfather paradox, isn't there? That if you could travel in time, could you go back and shoot your own grandfather? Obviously, you couldn't, because the person killing your grandfather, once your grandfather's dead, you could never have existed. If you haven't existed, you can't have killed your grandfather.
The point relates nicely to the business about where are all the aliens, because the question where are all the aliens is essentially, is known in physics as the Fermi paradox. Enrico Fermi...
Yes?
I'll spare you the details. Hawking mirrored his quote. When you say there's nothing in physics that prevents time travel, that's not actually strictly true, because there are plenty of physical laws that are not reversible, such as the second law of thermodynamics.
Really, what you're saying, swings and roundabouts.
Here's the quite interesting point. If you had a picture of a glass and then a smashed glass, you could never put the picture of the smashed glass as earlier in time than the picture of the glass. So the question is, are we human beings only capable of living in a universe in which we experience time in a thermodynamic sequence, in a linear thermodynamic sequence? Or is time actually reversible?
Is it multiple choice?
There's the girdle.
Because I think if it were multiple choice, I'd have a stab at it.
If you warp space,
that's
enough,
the idea.
time could fold back on itself.
Yeah, wormholes. Very
And
clever.
wormholes.
Yeah.
But there's also the simple fact that if you travel near the speed of light towards a planet, and it might take you, say, a minute to get to that planet, on Earth, 4 years would pass. Well, in your spaceship, only a minute passed.
That's exactly right. What Stephen is saying is that time travel is possible. Time travel to the future is possible. Because the closer you get to the speed of light, the faster the
We're all
experience.
travelling to the future, aren't we? Just very slowly. That's not the
Relative-
problem. It's more going
relative
back
travel.
that's the issue, I think.
But there is a belief also that the very thing you were talking about, the Large Hadron Collider, might initiate the world of time travel, because there are some people who think time travel may be possible in the future, but like telephones, you can't have one telephone. It's useless. You have to have someone else with a telephone. And that in the future, if they have any access to time travel, they need first something on Earth to have been built, like the
One of
Large
those.
Hadron Collider, which might well cause wormholes to exist that would allow people in the future to connect with it.
I was there 2 weeks ago.
Were you really?
Yeah, really exciting.
That was one hell of an anniversary for you and Mrs. Miller, wasn't it?
My objection to all this physics, this level of physics, is that you can't explain it to let's call us not just ordinary people, you could actually just be making it up.
Until it makes machines work. That's the point. When Faraday talked about electricity and magnetism, it didn't make any sense. But then somebody makes a solenoid, somebody makes an electricity generator. Suddenly you've got lights, you've got television, people can talk about quantum P states and N states, and they can talk about this, and suddenly you've got a computer. And you go, I think you'll find...
I was the same with the leaf blower. Someone said to me, one day you won't have to rake up the leaves. You are living in cloud cuckoo land, mate. Can you? Like, I don't understand electricity. Even the most... I don't understand the telephone. If you could explain to me the theory of the telephone, I would still have... I've had the same expression at the start that I had at the end. I mean, something similar. I mean, it's been around since I was a kid, that how your voice can be heard miles away.
Ben, help us out.
You need something called a transducer. You need something that's capable of changing one energy form into another via something like a piezoelectric crystal, which is a crystal which, if you compress it, it creates an electric charge, and you can set up an electric circuit. You have a piezoelectric crystal in the mouthpiece of the telephone. You speak into it, it vibrates, it converts that into electrical currents. Those currents are then converted into a signal by an amplifier, passed along the telephone wire to the other end, where it's converted back through a transducer from an electrical signal into movement of the piezoelectric crystal, which moves the air, which moves
it's
the
like
which moves the air, which means you hear the other person's voice.
Thank you. Very good.
Is it like a palindrome? Right, so is it like a palindrome in the sense that it starts off one thing, it has to transform and then goes back to what it was?
Yeah.
I think for people who find it hard to tell us apart, I think we've hit upon a good way now, haven't we?
Well, the future, of course, is obvious with hindsight, but now it's time to poke predictable fun at people who are foolhardy enough to make forecasts and have the misfortune to get them hopelessly wrong. So, fingers on buzzers, please. In 1955, Variety magazine predicted that what would be, I quote, gone before June? Yes, Rob.
May.
Aside from anything else, I said they predicted wrongly.
You made me look a fool.
No, you did that.
Television.
Television is not, but you're a much...
Cinema.
It's an F show, Frisps.
I'll tell you what it was.
Remember them?
I'll tell you what it was.
No,
if it was 55, it was Elvis Presley.
Wider, more...
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll is the right answer, yes, they did say that.
Don't look so stupid now, do I?
Quite so stupid, Rob. No, you don't. But all things are relative. Yeah, it was rock and roll. Now, in 1977, Ken Olsen said there is no reason for any individual to have a what in their home?
Butler. No. It's outmoded.
Japanese prisoner of war.
Again, wonderful try, but no. He, if I may say, was the chairman of DEC, the Digital Equipment Company.
Computer.
A computer, he said, exactly.
Oh, he was wrong.
He was very wrong.
I know quite a few people who've got one.
Yes. These days, they're very much the coming thing, I believe, aren't they? Absolutely.
Some of these whiz kids, they...
Oh, yes. In 1955, what nuclear-powered device did Alex Lewitt predict would be a reality within 10 years?
TV remote.
No, but as daft, really.
Hover boots.
Yeah,
that is the invention that everybody always says. Will there be... My son has said to me, Dad, will there be hover boots when I'm grown up? Like, that is the height of scientific and technological advancement. And Ben now is going to talk for a little while about... the possibility of how possible it is.
Hover gloves, I'd like.
Not hover gloves. That's weird. Surely you can do your own hovering. You're doing it, in fact. Yeah. It's not a hover thing, but it is a domestic appliance that he
electric
thought
toothbrush.
Would be nuclear-powered, not an electric toothbrush.
Fridge.
Hoover, yes, electric vacuum cleaner.
Vacuum cleaner,
nuclear vacuum
He honestly thought in 1955 that within 10 years there'd be a nuclear-powered
They had
one.
vacuum cleaners in America in the 19th century, and they were huge, and they had to go on the back of a cart drawn by horses.
I remember seeing that on a programme called QI. Yeah. Well done. but well remembered.
It goes in somewhere.
It really does, yeah. Well, the nuclear-powered domestic vacuum cleaner, but not everybody gets it wrong. A few remarkable people shaped the future by being the very first in their field. Men like St. Ambrose, the 4th century bishop of Milan. What did St. Augustine of Hippo catch St. Ambrose doing that had never been done before in public, but which nearly all of us now can do in public? Yeah.
Was he using his mobile in a crowded compartment? Because we all do it, let's be honest.
We do.
Even when we see that little sign saying this is a mobile-friendly or mobile-free, guys, you still kind of think it doesn't apply to you.
I don't, actually. No.
I don't.
No. I think it's just you, Bob.
But when I do, people think it's you.
Anyway, no, it isn't that. It was like
busking.
a party trick, a thing he could do. It seemed it, but we can all do it, and it seems natural to us. But it was just not done. And it involved reading.
Did his lips move?
Reading.
His lips did not move, is the point. He was the first person, it seems, in certainly post-classical times, who could read without moving his lips. I know, one laughs. It's very odd. It seems so natural to us, but as children do, when they first read, they read out loud and then their lips move, and that had never stopped. But
And
this
presumably,
man,
if you
St.
could read,
Ambrose,
then you sort of wanted to show off a bit about the fact that you could.
I think there's an element of that. Whereas he did the opposite. And this is what St. Augustine wrote in his Confessions. When Ambrose read, his eyes scanned the page and his heart sought out the meaning. But his voice was silent and his tongue was still. Anyone could approach him freely, and guests were not commonly announced, so that often, when we came to visit him, we found him reading like this in silence, for he never read aloud. And he's obviously astonished by this. It's considered a remarkable trick.
I sort of think of myself as a man of limited talents, and I just wish that I'd been around then. I would have blown them away. I could read whole books like this.
But I have to say, they would have been in Latin.
That's where I would have fallen down.
Yeah. But you could have given them your Ronnie Corbett impression, which goes...
It's not the one about the chap that reads the book without moving his lips.
Very good, very good. They might have burned you as a witch, but they would have been impressed. Anyway, so another man who was ahead of his time was Sir Christopher Wren. This is one of his buildings behind me here. My question is, what are the pillars in the middle of the open area for, those 4 pillars?
Hoodies to lean on menacingly.
Probably true. It's Windsor. We're in Windsor here. Do you know what they're for?
To hold the roof up.
No, oddly enough, he took over the commission from a man called Fitz, who'd been commissioned to do the building, and there were these 4 pillars, and he, being a
Where do these
fine...
go, Gov? Oh, just put them in the middle.
Well, him being a Christopher Wren, fine mathematician and an extraordinary architect, he reasoned quite correctly that the pillars were not necessary. But the bureaucrats who had said it's no, you've got to have the pillars. So he deliberately had the pillars made too short, actually to touch the ceiling as a way of putting 2 fingers up to them for them insisting he have them. And in fact,
I know a builder like that.
They have no supporting role whatsoever.
We had a builder like that, did our extension, actually.
But did it fall down? Or
Yes.
Did it fall down?
Yes. He didn't do it on purpose.
No. Like being
Also,
told
it's
you need
got the
acros.
fail-safe that if it doesn't work, it just goes dunk, and it's all right.
Exactly. No one would ever know. Would you? But in fact, needless to say, even today now,
What happens? Don't worry about
they've forced tiles in there.
Shims.
Because the current Jobsworths also think, no, it's got to happen. But it's in Windsor, it's the Corn Market. Now, a common theme of science fiction B-movies set in the future is robot invasions. But has Britain ever actually been invaded by robots?
Yes.
Well, I'm guessing they have.
Yes, they have. And
Yes.
when?
40s. 1880.
40s is the right answer.
40s.
1940s. Yeah, I'm afraid the point there goes to young Alan. But what was
The
his robot?
Germans.
Was it the Germans?
The Germans.
Had to be.
Oh,
the
yes.
Doodlebug. The
airplanes.
Doodlebug and the Buzz Bombs, the V1
Yeah.
and V2. And the point is not just that we're saying they are kind of robots. They were called robots. They were called robots more than they were called Doodlebugs in the 40s. In as much as they were publicly called anything, because they were more or less banned to be discussed. The British authorities were terrified of letting the Germans know how successful or otherwise the V1
Tell
and
you
V2
what, when the
bombs
V2
were.
landed on Chingford Plain, it was quite widely discussed.
Oh, it would be. But the point that is not in the newspapers.
Of course, you ask, has Britain been invaded by robots? If you wanted to answer that question in a satirical manner that took a swipe at modern life in Britain...
Go on.
You'd say, we're in the process of it now, and those robots are the bloody call centres that we have to put up with.
Oh.
So my answer is yes, and it's happening now.
You should be a stand-up comedian.
On an equally satirical note, the bloody cameras
Yeah.
take photographs of us everywhere we go.
Yeah.
And
More cameras now in this country
send us electronically
pictures of our
summonses
cars.
and fines.
More cameras than any other time and any other country in Europe, and yet we can't catch anybody who kills somebody. Why is nobody ever murdered in front of a camera?
A couple of mad old men moaning about the state of Britain today.
I agree with you.
I like you. I like you. I like you. Yeah. I like you.
I listen to you. It's like listening to me.
Yeah. I like your attitude.
Yeah.
They're going to fuse into one horrifying Rob
Look,
Miller.
if we go like this. This is like a sort of Siamese twin. We're quite keen to have the operation, but obviously we're not sure how we get on without each other. In all honesty.
All right. Christ.
I can see the attraction.
Now I know why my wife married me.
Yeah.
That was good.
God damn!
Just horrible. Right, thank you. You can make up for it by telling me where the word robot comes from. Where do we get the word robot from?
I can't get that out
Robotic.
of my head.
We get the word robotic from the word robot.
Yeah. Take the IC off robotic, you got robot.
It comes from the dance, Stephen. It comes from the dance. this dance.
Is it something you can shout at a machine it's got a chance of understanding?
Oh, interesting thought.
Like,
no.
you robot! Whereas if it was called a quark assimilator facimilator, it might not pick up... It might not pick up how angry
It must
you
be
are.
an acronym, right?
No, it's not actually. It's from a perfectly good Slavic word, robota, meaning a drudge slave worker, a slave worker, a labourer.
like a drone.
Robota. And it was from a play by a man called Karol Čapek in 1920 called Rossum's Universal Robots, and that's when it was first used. But now, back to the future. What will be the language of the future here on Earth?
Well, if it carries on the way it is, it'll be the sort of hoodies that Ben and I are so firmly against. Kind of like talking like this, everybody is going to talk like that, and that is going to be like the way of the future, you know. Like, it don't matter where you come from, you're going to talk like that, which I hate. And I think you hate it as well. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Isn't it going to be Mandarin or Spanish?
Interesting thought.
Oh, is it a trick? Is it binary?
Binary.
Is it binary? Is that
No,
right?
it's not, though. You have a picture on there now. No, it's generally thought to be English, in fact, but a certain kind of English. As many as 80%
Is this
of
kind
the
of
people...
It's like kind of English?
No, it's not.
It's kind of like English?
Goes
That's
up
sort
at
of
the
like
end.
English? Because that's what I hate.
I hate that too.
Yeah.
I hate that too.
Well, there's a proper debate about it. I mean, because I am a bit of an old fuddy. Oh, it shouldn't change. But of course, language does evolve.
Absolutely.
It evolves,
I
doesn't
can't
it?
bear people being frantic about language.
Well,
it
I am,
drives me
yeah.
mad. People who write into Radio 4 and moan about whether or not someone said more, fewer or less. It actually, they're
actually, it's
showing
a living
off.
language,
They just
and
want
that's
to
not-
show
Delighted.
they've spotted
And deal
something.
with it.
Yeah.
You told me off for fewer or less, on no fewer
Oh,
or
you,
less
yeah,
than 3
obviously.
occasions.
Heavens above. Now, apparently as many as 80% of people who speak English do not speak English as their first language. They're speaking it together with other people for whom it is their second or third language. And the one that seems to be growing is a thing called Panglish, they're going to call it, i.e. Pan-English, a kind of everyman English. There's a version at the moment which is spoken by a lot of people called Singlish, apparently, which is a mixture of English, Chinese and Malay, Singaporean equivalent to Franglais. See if you can see what these words mean. Lay Leo. It's written as two words, it's actually one. Layleo. Lay Leo.
That instructions from Mrs. Sayer.
No, it's just radio. You're not on Clue now. Very good. No, it's radio, Lay Leo.
Lelio.
Lelio.
That's just bad. That's just That's a Chilelio. Well done. He's speaking English, you know. Now he hasn't learned to speak
the language of the future.
Rolex?
A Rolex watch.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's rubbish.
Orleng Tzu. O-R-L-E-N-G. Tzu, T-Z-U.
See you soon.
No, it's a drink. I have a glass of Orleng Tzu, orange juice. Orleng Tzu. Orleng Tzu is orange juice. If you go to Singapore and say Orleng Tzu, they give you an orange juice.
Really must. They must try hard.
It's. But that's English has evolved. I mean, a Saxon or an Angle would hear us speaking English and go, "No, what have they done with our language? They must try harder." Because we've evolved it into what we call English. They'll do it into what they, will be their language.
That's after they've said, "What are you wearing?"
I had said to me in Singapore,
What?
"You, lick Asri."
Lick us, please. Wow.
It's 1988, and I was mistaken for the pop star Rick Astley.
Oh! I thought you said lick us,
You
please.
pop star. You pop star. You lick Asri.
You lick
Sorry,
us,
I'm
please.
sorry.
No, he was asking to lick you to lick his ass. You lick us, please.
Being offered a
I was
service.
Rick Astley.
He was an example of Rick rolling.
They were going to give you a...
Hey.
There is no more mysterious language, of course, than Welsh, where mini golf, for example, is golf mini.
Get away.
True.
You Welsh. Honestly. There are other languages, obviously invented languages. Do you know anything about Klingon?
Oh, yeah, that's a proper language now, isn't it?
It seems to be. There are degrees in it, I believe, in
yeah.
Klingon. It was invented by a man called Mark Okrand, or at least devised. It's rather difficult to have normal conversations in it. There are words for things like a transporter ionizer unit, which is a jolvoy, which you probably knew.
Wasn't he in Midnight Cowboy?
Also, for the bridge of a ship, which is mech, but there's no word for a bridge that goes over a river. But they have translated Hamlet into Klingon. And tachbe is to be or not to be, apparently.
Is there any word for what have I done with my life?
That's so true.
Has it come to this?
Trekkie, I think, is the word for that. But there are more sensible ones. Esperanto.
Now, that was invented, wasn't it?
It was an entirely invented language, but apparently because it's so easy to learn, has only 900 words and has no irregular verbs, it takes you a year less to learn to speak another language reasonably fluently. So in that sense, it's quite useful. Here's an example. What am I saying? Saluton.
Saluton.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. You
Greetings,
see? What
yeah.
could be easier than that? Ĉu vi parolas Esperanton?
Quidditch.
Do you speak... Juvi, do you have Esperanto words, if that's literally saying? But this is Mia cousin veturilo estas plena de anguloi.
My cousin is a meerkat of strange angles.
Now, you can work this out. Anguilla is
No, nothing.
eel. Eel, in most Romance languages, that's an eel.
Eel?
Yeah, so...
Is it?
Cousin veturilo.
Jellied eels?
Cushion.
Peter Cushing, the Hammer Horrors.
Cushion vehicle.
Eel cushion. Hovercraft.
Estas plenas... Yeah, my hovercraft is full of eels. There you are.
Seriously?
Yes.
I thought you were a bit cross with me then, and you were saying that just to move on.
No, that's what it is in Esperanto. There you are. Anyway, that's enough of that. The language of the future looks like actually being Panglish, and we'll only understand it if we're lucky. Now, it is possible to imagine a future in which there will be no war and no poverty, but I confidently predict there will always be general ignorance. So, figures on buzzers, please. To be serious for a moment, the most urgent issue facing the future of the planet is the environment. The Republic of Guyana is in South America, as you probably know, immediately to the north of Brazil. Between the years 2000 and 2005, what percentage of the country's rainforest was cut down? Yes.
400. Is that bad? That's how bad it's got.
And over it.
Yeah.
Like a Mac 4 razor. The first time gets it close.
Yeah.
The second time, closer still. The third time gets rid of any trees at all. The fourth time, you know you're treeless.
The best a country can get. It's not 400%, I have to say.
None.
None is the right answer. They replace every tree they pull down with another tree. It's a rather happy thought that Guyana has this splendid, don't you think?
That's a photograph taken at Kew Gardens in the Palm House.
What's the only South American country to play cricket?
Guyana, because they speak English.
Yeah,
it's an English colony.
It's a Caribbean country,
Yeah, it was an English colony, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
It's next to Suriname.
Next to Suriname, which is
Guyana.
exactly right, where they don't play cricket, I suspect. Anyway, there you are. Now, picture the scene. I'm out windsurfing. The breeze is ruffling my tousled, sun-bleached hair. I look up and I see on the horizon a ship. How far away is it?
21 miles.
No.
I thought it was always 21 miles.
No.
And I didn't even get flagged for that.
No, I didn't know that anybody always thought that it was 21 miles.
How far away is the horizon?
That's the point. I'll tell Ben Miller the formula for working it out, and he will tell you very quickly. It's very straightforward. Let's assume I'm 6 foot tall. I'm actually a bit taller. The distance to the horizon in miles is approximately the square root of 1.5 times your height in feet.
That depends how low your eyes are, though, doesn't it?
3 miles.
3 miles is the right answer. Well done. It's a lot closer than you think. If you're standing at sea level, the normal horizon is only about 3 miles away. Back home now, what kind of weather kills more people in Britain than any other?
Bad weather. Wind. It's wind.
Not wind. Oh dear, you got a forfeit wind.
Oh, bugger.
Is it rockets? Because they come down like weather.
They sort of...
No. Hail.
Fog!
Heat wave.
Fog is the right answer, finally. Well done, fog. Because of road traffic accidents, I'm afraid. It's a simple
Do you want me to explain fog to you, Ben? What happens is... Everybody's been asleep, right, for quite a long time. So all their breath gathers up. And they've left a little window open and it all goes out. And that collects in the valley all together. Right, and it gets blown around by the lorries that are driving up and down. You still with me?
No, I like it.
Do you know the difference between fog and mist? There is an official difference.
Is it the height of it?
No, it's actually just the density.
Mist is water.
Fog is visibility of less than 1 kilometre, while mist is usually between 1 and 2.
Because in mist, you can be seen in a sort of Mac, whereas in fog, they can't see you at all. You're safe. No one can spot you. Step back in, you're gone.
It's interesting. That's how you think of fog, as a way of hiding yourself.
Yeah,
so that you can go about your beastly business unobserved.
It's not beast, I'm just putting stickers on things.
Oh, it's you!
Yeah, putting silly stickers on people's faces.
Oh.
I know, nothing pervy. Bit of chewing gum over Cameron Diaz's eye. Anything, just cheers me up.
Smog, of course, is an urban phenomenon. Smoke and fog, sulphur dioxide usually, and fog mixing together. The last really bad one in London was in 1952 and lasted 4 days. How many people did it kill, roughly?
256.
No.
They all died
3,000.
fairly roughly, didn't they?
No.
4.
No. It was 12,000 people.
Whoa.
In 4 days were killed by the smog of 1952. Wow. This is what hurried in the clean air and smokeless zones. And in London now, fog is pretty rare, to be honest, isn't it? But I was in, last week, one of the Hawaiian Islands in Honolulu.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii. And they don't have fog there, they have... Do you know what they call it? It's not smog or fog.
Sun.
No. They have lots of that. But they have...
Is it a low hog?
It's VOG. They have VOG. Why VOG?
All the Jewish people have moved there.
No.
Hey, the fog, what do I care? I can't see it in front of me. Look at you, you can't see him, I can't see her. I don't know what I'm doing. Why should I care what it is? I don't know. Look at you, where are you? You're there, you're 2 foot. I can't see you, for Christ's sake. What's going on?
Oh, God. Thank you, Jackie Bryden. No, it's a volcanic fog. It's the fact that there's a volcano going off on the big island there, and it mixes with natural mists and fogs and creates this denser item called VOG. Anyway, fog or mist, it's all the same stuff. Causes road crashes, that's the thing about it. Now, lastly, when will they finish painting the 4th rail bridge? Yes.
Never, because by the time they get to... See, see my little face light up as I thought I
Yes, it's been done. They don't need to worry about it anymore.
Putting on a new special coating that's a combination of paint and epoxy resin.
Is the right answer! Right! Very good! Absolutely right. You never cease to amaze me, Alan Davis, but you're absolutely right. It used to be considered the proverbial unending task, but they have a new epoxy resin paint. It's been developed. It will last 25, possibly even 40 years. 40 years.
You've just come back from that big industrial paint conference, haven't you? You were just out there, just seeing what was going on.
Followed
You
a lot of it on the
world.
web as well. So.
Thanks to a clever new paint, they'll actually finish painting the Forth Rail Bridge in the year 2012. And so, with the future safely behind us, let's have a look at the old scoreboard. And well ahead of his time with 14 points is Ben Miller. But not so far behind with 7 points is Sean Locke.
Thank you.
We plunge into the minus numbers. In third place with minus 31, it's Rob Brydon. But knocked into the middle of next week with minus 60, Alan Davis. That's all for next week, but from Rob, Ben, Sean, Alan and me, we trust that you will live long and prosper. And I leave you with this observation from physicist Niels Bohr. Prediction is very difficult, he said, especially about the future. Good night.
In the film coming up on BBC Two, a desperate trawler man is drawn into smuggling immigrants in True North. And on BBC Three, a bit more of Sean Locke with Lee Mack this time, live at the Apollo.